much for accepting this invitation, Amy. I have to welcome the amazing Amy Zerner. It's a great pleasure to have you here in As Above, So Below. And I have so many questions for you, really, because the first time I knew about Monty, I instantly knew about you, and then I was so curious because of your creative life and the dynamics. So, and because he's an Aquarius and you are an Aries. And I'm going to jump, I will describe you for anyone that doesn't know you, Amy, as truly a creator, because you are involved in so many mediums of, in arts and in life, actually. And it is so amazing that, an Aquarius man and an Aries sun sign woman, have come together to create, something of I consider as a cultural explosion. So I hope you do, and continue to create so many things, for the rest of your life. It's a truly amazing thing to see your energy, and Monty's energy, and still creating amazing things. So, the first question is how you would describe yourself, Amy.
I think you're right. I'm a creator. I've always been since I was little.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have to make art all the time in every form. It's like to me, it's like breathing air or drinking water. It's a life force that I'm connected to that is essential for my living to live. So, you know, I do a lot of things, so it's hard to describe. So I usually say I'm an artist, but I'm also a designer. I do fashion, I design jewelry, we do the books. So it's a long list. I don't know. It's so out of the box. Do you have a good word for it?
Yeah, I usually use, like a Renaissance woman, but
Yeah,
I found that so it reduces a lot of, of the processes. So I usually use the word creator, because when you create, and women have this ability to, I don't know, connect things, and all depends of the instance of the person. But I feel that we have this, this capacity to in parallel, connect to so many things at the same time.
yeah.
And yeah, I use this metaphor as women as the generals and men as the soldiers, but it has some flavor to it because we have to deliver so many things at the same times and logistics and know where things have to, to be. But
I, de-
it,
I definitely relate to being a general. I think I was a general in the past.
that's it. I was connected because my Mars is in Aries and my North Node is in Aries in the 29th degree. So,
I
those
have
energetic degrees, yeah, they connect a lot to, Sagittarius and Aries women. So
yeah,
I really
yeah,
do appreciate that kind of, pioneering and, groundbreaking energy. Just go, just
do
do it.
it, do
That's
it.
the energy. Exactly. So, do you see yourself as a pioneer? Because I feel that there is, I don't know if you faced a lot of prejudice when you started, because you are creators and you are artists. And I feel like, being sometimes a creator and want to do something that is different, when you start being a best bookseller or something like that, have you faced a little bit of prejudice because you were connected to divinatory arts and I don't know. Some,
I never worried about it because
yeah, you
we
just go.
yeah. But obviously, and it's still true in the art world, which actually is a very small world. My things are very feminine. Um, are they craft? Are they fine art? They still try to categorize you, and if you don't fit a trend in the art world, they don't accept you. And women artists for still aren't, accepted or recognized as much as they should be. It's changing a little bit now. But I was so authentic with my love of metaphysics, with my love of fabrics, with my love of mixed media, with my love of to me, it's all the same. Cooking dinner is the same because, I put my heart and soul into everything I make, which is another term, I guess, like a magic maker, right? A magic
Exactly.
maker as a creator. And, you know, as far as people mocking, because I've been doing this a long time, I'm 70, soon to be 73. So when I started in the 70s using astrology as inspiration for my tapestries, and way back then in my tapestries, I was always repurposing things from thrift shops, but that's a big thing now. So now I think I can appreciate that I was ahead of my time. But
Exactly.
at the time, you're just doing what you love and
Just follow your gut. You
oh,
just follow
yeah.
your gut. Yeah.
But I see, now the popularity of tarot and astrology, which I think is so great, and the popularity of repurposing and using vintage things. Sometimes, and I'm sure I'm going on to the next thing, right? Because that just happens automatically when you're
Mm-hmm.
Aries and a pioneer. But you like to do your own thing when you're a pioneer, right? You don't want to necessarily fit in. So I guess always in school, I wanted my own art class. I didn't care if I was an outsider. I didn't want to be part of the group necessarily because I'm happy as a child to play by myself. And I guess as an adult, I'm still happy to do that too.
Lovely. Okay, I got you. Okay, so there's something that I wanted to know because Monty mentioned, and then I went for a little bit of research, and I was amazed because I heard that your granddad was a landscape
Yes,
painter, and your mother, I believe,
yes.
was an illustrator of children's books, and
Hmm.
it did, of course, this served as an inspiration for you how it was like growing up in this
Well,
so creative
yeah,
environment.
I think it was very natural to be an artist. There were always art supplies, and I think it was revered to be an artist.
Hmm.
That we were proud to be artists. My mother actually supported our family as an artist. So
Hmm.
it was very natural for me to be a working artist and to sell my work and to live off that. It seemed not impossible. It seemed very natural. And my grandfather, we have all his work, all the family's work. My sister was also an artist. So, there's a lot of artistic energy that is inspiring. And I really appreciate it, because it made it easy. I didn't have to rebel.
Exactly. That's it. Okay. So if you had to reflect on the last years, because this is like a cosmic second, I was thinking about that, in this next October, and correct me if I'm wrong, you met Monty like almost 50 years ago,
Yes.
because you met in 74. Am I right or am I wrong? 73,
Right.
74.
Right.
Yeah,
50
74.
years. Yeah.
It's almost half of a century.
I
Um,
know.
it's amazing. And how you reflect upon that meeting and the way that you started creating in parallel and as a team, because it's completely different. I heard that knew each other on the set of adult who was supposed to be a feminist
I
at the
know.
movie.
It's
Exactly.
funny. It's so funny to be able to say that, because
Yeah.
it just happened that way. But from the beginning, right away, Monty was a musician, I was an artist. We were so supportive of each other and so respectful of each other's creativity, just like joined together immediately. Then later we started collaborating on the book. So that started in like the late 80s. But I would always, we would always do everything together. If he had a concert, I would make the posters, I would be
Well,
there, I would send the invitations, and he would always be hanging my art shows. And it was just karmically meant to be. And as far as 50 years, it seems like, 5 minutes.
yesterday or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We're
Yeah.
kind of celebrating because we had this young woman make a documentary
I
about her.
heard about that. How is it going? Amy?
Well, it's edited. We're just getting the permissions. We used to be on TV reading tarot cards, so we're getting permissions from these old TV shows.
Oh, that's a
Yeah,
bummer. Yeah, I
it's
know.
a labyrinth of corporate entities, but we're happy with it. It really is a documents, from the beginning, our time together, in a short way. It's a 60 minutes, as much as we could say who we are and what we do.
Oh
But
my God.
that's a way of celebrating our legacy of 50 years.
Of course, of course. I'm looking forward to it. Um, so there are so many things I wanted to ask, but I feel that, one of the most important ones is what doesn't inspire you in first place, no, regardless of the medium that you're going to work on, and what is your creative process or what you consider, and that you can share with us, of course, what is your creative process?
Well, my creative process is very instinctual, very intuitive. I like that adventure of not planning too much, but allowing what is meant to come through me. It's always exciting. It's always refreshing, and it's like a cleansing. And I think everything I make is sort of a diary of where I'm at now. So that's what I want to tune into. And it's oftentimes a pulse of what's happening, maybe a little ahead of its time. But I love the spiritual symbols. I love spiritual stories. I love universal stories. So my tapestries, I think I tap a lot into that Akashic record, or whatever you want to call it, that are full of archetypes. And that's why I love designing the tarot cards, because it's all the archetypal stories. And it seemed very natural to me to tune into that. And I never get tired of that, because it's endless, right? And all the philosophies of all the cultures, I think, come through me, because I use fabrics from all different countries and different cultures and different time periods. So I think I'm an observer. I'm always watch people, which is why I love astrology. It's the psychology of who people are, why they do what they do. So I think from observing and thinking about what's going on, and all the connections, definitely about the connections, and the ribbons I use kind of symbolize all that, the threads and stitching together, sort of what you were saying before, that what women do to put everything,
Connecting the dots.
yeah, to make the puzzle,
Exactly.
and once you put everything in its right place, then you feel very centered and grounded. But of course, being an Aries, I go on to the next thing. But when
Okay.
I go into my studio, I have a very big studio that we built in the late 80s. So I can work on designing a garment, and then I can go to this corner and work, go to my computer and work on the book that we're working on. And then I can go to the floor and work on a new tapestry. So it really is, um, I never, I'm always
Never
confronted.
ending process,
Yeah.
exactly. You
And all
can
my
channel,
material, yeah,
in different directions.
yeah,
That's amazing, and that's,
yeah.
a big pleasure of yours, I believe. So I have a question, because you were talking about the Akashic records. If you of course can share again with us, what is your south node, and what does your south node and its placement inspires you, or the moon nodes, as you can call them?
If
Does it inspire some?
I'm blanking on it. Let's see, where's my chart? Where is
Or
it?
another position you want to mention that inspires you in a particular direction?
I think,
Um,
my moon's in Libra.
oh,
So I'm always seeking that balance and that ideal. A lot of my the stories in my tapestries are ideal landscapes and dreamscapes, where everything is very balanced and harmonious. I seek that. I have that, with Monty. I have that in my home, and um that's the moon in Libra, I think. And lots of times I'll have like night and day, or two pillars, or
that duality, yeah,
yeah, the inside outside. So I think,
that's
and I
all present. Okay,
yeah,
that's one
I
of the
have a lot
inspiration.
of I have 3 planets in my fifth house, the house of
Oh
creativity.
my
So
God,
I have
really?
Mars, Mercury, and Sun and Aries all there.
Okay,
And
okay.
opposite, I was born on a full moon, so they're all opposite my moon, and my moon's conjunct Neptune. So I know as an astrologer that must make sense to you, right?
Of course. And
I
because
love
of
the
the
Canada.
Pythian, you have conjunct in Neptune. Oh my God.
Yes, and I have Venus and Taurus, which is all the tactile things that I
Mhm,
love to use.
mhm.
I love astrology. I mean, it
Yeah.
always makes sense, right?
It always makes sense, exactly. Um, So, by the way, because you're talking about the tapestries and astrology, do you have a favorite card from tarot that you wanted to, to talk about, or something that you have created and you said you thought, immediately that this makes so much sense, regardless of the imaginary that is connected to,
Well,
for
of course, I
instance,
love the High Priestess.
the High Priestess, of course. Mhm.
The Enchanted Tarot was the first deck I designed, and actually, the Strength card was the first card I made for that deck, and I figured I needed the strength to make the other 77 cards.
Oh God, okay, exactly.
Yeah, that's in our living room. But they all mean so much. I guess they're like your kids, right? It's hard to choose. I like the High Priestess because it's feminine spirituality, it's feminine power, it's receptive. We don't. It's kind of the opposite of me. I always feel like I have to do and do and put
Something,
up. And so
exactly. Project energy.
yeah, but the High Priestess is the receptive part where you allow the intuition to work and come through.
Okay. Okay. So in another note, Amy, how would you define the age of Aquarius? Do you think, and because we are so near the 21st, of January, and we have all this whole, the next 20 years that so many people are talking about, do you feel there's something that already started? Do you feel that something that is going to start, uh, on January, and we're going to be living, in this
Well,
really
yeah,
intense.
you can't deny it's happening.
Yeah, it's happening
I
exactly.
think I was kind of naive to think, I didn't realize how crazy it would get. And it's just the
I felt that
beginning.
it already started in the 60s or in the 70s, like we're doing a revolution, and this is,
The part that I
something
liked, yeah, the part that I liked where, we could be unconventional and, throw out a lot of the stuff that wasn't relevant, but now they're throwing everything out.
exactly.
I
And
think it's very disruptive and, you really have to use your spiritual tools to stay grounded and not let to know what's true and what's not true.
exactly, because of it, yeah, and because of the very sorry, the very there's a very fixed side to Aquarius, and very what's the word, very very scientific and very right to the point, that doesn't allow any human dilemma, and it's
Yeah.
it's like that in as well.
Well, sometimes
So
it's rebellious, too rebellious for its own good.
exactly,
We were
exactly, of
just talking because Monty and I talk about all this stuff all the time. So this
course.
morning we were talking about that it's probably the end of monarchies, this age of Aquarius, because
Yeah, there are so many, people talking about, the last pope, and and
yes,
the succession of, of King Charles, and so many
yes.
things. And
And you can understand that, because now with the information access, everyone can be on the same level, which is
exactly,
wonderful. But
exactly.
the transition is always uncomfortable, right?
Mm-hmm. And you have to look into history. It was, the last time was, the independence of United States, and the French Revolution, and so many things, and so forth, the Renaissance. So connect to these dots as we are talking like freely. Um, USA is going through a very interesting, I'm going to put it this way, like really interesting. I'm not talking about politics, just, culture. Uh, if you allow me, what does it mean, this Pluto return in United States for you? Just, for an instance, what it means to you, as as you lived in USA for all these years, and how do you read the country before and now? Just like,
Mhm. It's so interesting because, I am in my little cave. Um, it bothers me, the polarity, so I don't know if that's Pluto so much, but I guess it is, because of its huge transformation. So I can see and I
Hmm.
understand. I try not to let the news dictate my thoughts because I know it's so manipulated
Exactly.
and corrupt in so many ways. So I try to see through and see underneath. I think, there's been so many injustices as far as, treatment of black people, of women, all those things are coming into play and being spoken about, which I think is a great thing. Although it's uncomfortable for a lot of people, and then it becomes, like we said, the Aquarian, extremists and the activism, because I like peace and harmony. So
Hmm.
we like I said, I'm an observer of it. So, I try to see why people get so angry. I see people making themselves sick over it, right? Over the politics mainly. The politics is what's in the news. But there's so much beyond that, and there's so many wonderful
So
things.
much. Yeah.
I think there's so many wonderful things happening that you don't necessarily hear about, in terms of wellness, in terms of discoveries about the mind body connection. Where I'm very interested in all that and always have been.
Hmm.
So, in terms of personally, I'm trying new things. I think you have to change up, at certain periods in your life to new modalities, as far as health regimes go, and so that's very Plutonian, right? To give an overall to your habits and to understand your habits. So we're always looking within to understand the cycles that we're going through. Astrology is so wonderful
And
for that.
adapt to them, yeah, in certain ways, and
Yeah,
protect that
yeah.
energy. Exactly. Okay, so this being said, what do you think it's going to be, or what are the main things that you feel that this is a little bit, it's not a very fair question, but I'm asking it to you because you're Amy. If not, I wouldn't. But because we have the privilege, this is so weird because the next generations are going to be living in Pluto in Aquarius and Pluto in Pisces, and right now we have Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, and this is the last, or the last, well, we are the last degrees of Pluto in Capricorn actually, but uh, these are the last, the remains of a cycle and the ending of an era. How do you envision the world by the time they are, I don't know, like 2043, when Pluto in Aquarius ends that phase and starts Pluto in Pisces? How do you feel that that is going to reflect upon humanity? Because do you feel that science is going to be a new religion, and then people are going to go back to spirituality in a completely new way, that it's not connected to religion? Is that how you
I
picture?
do. I get such chills running through my body when you're talking about that time. I do think it has to be a healing, this time of upheaval. I think it will definitely be a healing. I was just thinking about that in terms of, sometimes I think about a theme for a new piece, and I was thinking about predicting the future in a tapestry to see what would come through
Oh my
me.
God, that would
That
be
was,
amazing.
just this morning, of course.
Yeah,
So,
oh,
but I think what vision came to me is mind power, right? That
yeah,
I'll be able to send you my thoughts, and
yeah,
the way we digest all of that information is going to be very different,
exactly.
and I think we will really honor our hearts more with the Pisces. I think it'll be gentler, right? That's what it's like, almost like the star card where there's peace after the storm.
Mhm.
Maybe that's my wishful idealistic
You
view.
wish fulfillment. I hope so, because yeah, we have Pluto in Capricorn's the destruction of and transformation of structure, and then we have Pluto in
Yes.
Aquarius, the thought and the way that we
New science, it'll be new science, like you said, but
Mhm.
then that'll have to be balanced.
Balance, humanity and yeah, the technological evolution is not the same as human evolution, and people are still, trying to battle this notion of what is, what are we able to live with? Because
Well,
we
I
have
guess,
created
yeah,
it in
with
some,
the AI and everything,
yeah,
when things will become more robotic with the
exactly.
age, and then people will have more free time if so many jobs are done by robots and AI. So what are they going to do with more free time?
Exactly. Exactly, because people in in the Middle Ages they died at if you had the luxury of be 35 and die with 35 years old, it would be a luxury by that time. But and we have been entertained. I don't know. People are going to become more and more entertained and less in touch with reality. I really don't know. That will be so strange to think about it, actually.
When we try, it's like when we try to imagine what the other side is like.
Yeah, it's weird, and well, because I was asking you this because I was born under the very strange Pluto in Scorpio. It's so intense, and I have Moon in Scorpio in the 6th house, just like my Pluto. So I'm always thinking, and try
Which
to
which
yeah, to figure out how we how would that will be played out. So what is next for you, Amy? What do you feel that you're going to be creating in the next years? How do you envision your life? And
So, we've been freelance all our lives,
Mhm.
and magic happens. Being freelance, you never know really what your next,
Yeah,
not too far ahead, right? But, we've been doing the books for so long, and one of our publishers went to a new company, and he took us with him in a way. And this company wants to do all kinds of things with my artwork, like calendars and greeting cards, and
congratulations.
we're doing an oracle, a vision board oracle. So I'm making vision boards, which it's really what I do with my collages,
Mhm.
but having just fun with it and showing people how they can have fun with it too. So that's our next big project, and um, that's going to take a while to work on.
Work on.
I love having a big project to work on with lots of images that I have to do.
And you feel with that energy, you feel that you have something that you have
I
to give birth to.
I like to work on a big, 48 pieces, 78 pieces.
My God, it's
So
amazing, Amy.
artists to do a whole scope of work like that, you can really explore the
More
meaning,
things, exactly.
the symbols, what's new, how I can do it in a new way. Um, or else I guess I'd get bored if I didn't have this big project all the time.
Yeah, because you feel that you have to, be, doing something, Well, the last question that I have for you, this would be perhaps the last question, but I feel that I have to question you about your references, an inspiration that you have since forever. Do you have an inspiration for your work, or someone that you felt like they really meshed really well the mysticism and the arts all together?
I think it's more, periods in art that I
Mm-hmm.
love. Many. I love Art Deco. I love Art Nouveau. I love
Hmm.
the romantics.
Libra and Taurus are
Yeah,
speaking.
I'm never at a loss for inspiration. I mean, I can look at a flower and be inspired, or leaf through a magazine, and everything triggers. You pull a tarot card, and all of a sudden, that
Something, yeah.
fountain of images and information comes through. So, um, it's really everywhere that you can think of, and everywhere in your imagination. I, I do have certain tastes, I guess. I love the '60s, and inspires my fashion.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I started making clothes, the '60s and '70s. I love that sort of comfortable, flowy,
Mm-hmm.
bohemian kind of look for my fashions. And then those are, the kind of fabrics that I use very luxurious fabrics in my fashion and pieces of that in my tapestries. But it's like I said, I tap in and it's all there. It's all there to come
It's all
through.
there. You just let it flow. That's it.
I like
Okay.
this one behind me is about Atlantis. I was always fascinated with.
Beautiful. It's really beautiful. And the last time when I interviewed Monty, he already had then he showed me all your the some of the illustrations and work, and then I went researching in even more because I didn't know you had a page, connected and then an individual page of their own. So I'm sorry for that, but I went, researching and researching. I was really astonished by the work because if it's not a work of passion, you don't do it, as long as you do, guys. So congratulations for it because you can tell when it's authentic from a fad, something that it's that's passing through, or something that is pure fashion. But it's amazing, and I really identify with it because I do so many things at the same time as well. So I really appreciate the inspiration. I guess I told Monty that, the first time that I heard about your work or Monty's work, and then I saw the cards that, that were, was the first set of cards that I saw, because there are so many astrological decks, but you had the North Node and the South Node, and there everything was included. Neptune, Saturn. Sometimes there are decks that exclude Neptune and exclude Pluto, and so many things that I was amazed that that was launched at that time. And so I went for researching, and I felt that there was a really beautiful evolution of you guys, individually and as a team, and your story of life, and Monty's. I started with Monty's, and then reading about you. It's really wholesome to know there are people that are making a difference and are creating art for expanding their vision and educating others. So that's it, Amy. Thank you so much.
I think it's
We're
so nice
good.
that you live where you live. We're kindred spirits.
I think so. I feel that way because, well, I told Monty I lived for a year in Tennessee because I was a foreign exchange student, but I feel that I connect. I'm Piscean as well, of course not, but I feel that people connect, spiritually in first place. No, it's. I feel that's I feel that's a no-brainer for me.
It's
Like,
so it's so Aquarian, that we can connect this
yeah.
way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this would be this like centuries ago, people couldn't listen to music unless they were in a concert. This would be like the manifestation of a dream, like being together, but at the other across of the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. It's surreal. So
It
thank you so much for the opportunity, Amy. Really.
appreciate it so much. It was fun.
Yeah, it was. Yes, it was. Thank you.